Hello and welcome to today's our third episode. This is so exciting. I'm really excited to be here. Um yeah, slowly figuring this podcast thing out. So I decided I had a really good idea. First of all, today's topic of the day is who made up the rules of life and why do I have to live by them? Or do I actually have to live by them to begin with, right? So I noticed that in the previous podcast, I was having a little bit of a hard time carrying a conversation with, I guess, pretty much with myself. I'm going to be honest, for a while. So what I did was I was a little bit smarter this time, and I'm going to expose the secrets of the professional trade because now I'm a professional podcaster, right? After 3 episodes, we become professionals, said the very newbie um, podcaster. So I went to ChatGPT and I wrote in my topic of the day and I asked it to give me, I said, pretend you're co-hosting this podcast and can you give me some questions? So we'll see. I didn't really read through all the questions. We'll see if they're helpful. If they are helpful, that's great. If they're not helpful, also great. It's fine. We go with it. It's just today's podcast idea and understanding came from, it's been a while actually. It's been a while brewing in my head this idea of who made up the rules in life. Like I'm just going to bring this example that came to my head recently that I've been that really made me think about this idea. So I had this understanding that we all need to live in a house, that we need to live in either a house or an apartment or something like have a roof over your head, four walls, have a bed, have a fridge. I just kind of like that was just how I understood life, right? Like I think it makes sense. Um, and then probably about a year and a half ago, I was on my way out of the gym and I bumped into this guy on a bike. And he looked very, very confused and befuddled. And he had been riding all throughout the country and he discovered that this country is not very good for backpackers and riders. Like it's not great for biking. Anyways, long story short, I started chatting with him. The guy's name was Warren. And I start chatting with Warren. He's about a 60-year-old with dreadlocks. And he gave me this really, really sweet person vibe, like not creepy at all. And just such a sweet human. And I started chatting with him. And he starts telling me about his life. He came from New Zealand and he told me he lives on a boat. Okay. So like I said, where do you live? And he said, well, I live on a boat. And I was like, what does that mean? You live on a boat? Like, where's your house? His house is on a boat. And I was just like, so where's all your stuff? And all this stuff is on his boat. And it just like hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't need to live in a house. I can live on a boat if I want. I can live on a plane if I want. Now, okay, to be fair, I did consider the RV life or the bus life, right? You kind of take a bus and you turn it into a home. But to me, that's still a home. And like a boat on the water, I was just like, what's it like? Where do you go out of your house for a walk? He doesn't. Like it was just all the understandings and the ideas that I had about life of like how life is supposed to work. Like you live in a house, you wake up, you walk to the grocery store, you drive to the grocery store, you go to school. It was just, and I was like, no, he just lives on a boat, like in the middle of water. And it hit me that there are so many rules in life that I just go by because society decided, such as living in a home. And it was just such an interesting idea because I think there's so many rules that we kind of live by. Like, who made up breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Who decided, okay, I think this is biological actually, that like our bodies get tired at night and wake up in the morning. I think that's our circadian rhythm. But again, there are people that work through the night and sleep through the day. Like that's not a basic, and it hit me that there's so many things like I don't have to be grumpy just because something pissed me off. Like it almost became an accepted way of expressing ourselves. So if somebody cuts me off on the road, then I'm allowed to get pissed. Excuse my language. But you don't have to. Like just because majority of the people would, you don't actually need to get upset. And it just kind of like my brain, when I started realizing how much we were living by rules that kind of just became accepted by society. And I think a lot of times I would suffer from these rules because, like, I think also something that hit me recently because of this. Right now I'm in Israel and there's a war going on, and a close friend of mine was killed in battle. And initially I was really, really sad and I was upset and I was mourning. And I went to the funeral. And after the funeral, I realized that I was okay for a little bit. And it almost was like, I think it was the first time I didn't feel guilty for feeling okay when somebody close to me had died. Because you almost kind of think like, oh, I need to be in mourning, so I need to be sad right now. But it's okay the way you feel and the way you think and the way you are. You don't need to force yourself into being something because that's what society expects us to be doing or feeling. Do you get what I'm like? Do you follow? Because you don't need to live in a house because society expects you to live in a house. Like I'm curious just actually where he gets his mail, my friend. Like what happens? How does that work? Like does he get mail? I don't know. Again, these are logistics that would have to be figured out. Um, but it's very interesting when you think about it, how much of our life do we just live by rules, you know? And it's not rules, it's just commonly accepted things that society kind of agreed upon. You know, like even as a fitness trainer, like even body size. Who decided that like a certain body size is considered socially acceptable and considered beautiful and considered, I mean, obviously different people have different preferences and different, you know, but there's like this common thing that, you know, your body should look a certain way. Who made that up? Like who actually made that up? Some whole bunch of people came and I guess created this social idea, and then we all just went for it without questioning. Like even and degrees, like going to school, studying at university. Like who said you don't need to study? Nobody said you need to study. But I always had this idea that people that have degrees kind of like made it in life. Okay. Like I before I went to study, I was always I just I really wanted to get a degree because I felt like if I have a degree, I'll have made it, you know, like it'll all be like a person of the world. And okay, spoiler alert, I have a degree. I have two. I still, I mean, I made it, but I didn't need the degrees to make it because I made it for just being me. I made it for existing as a human in this world. It took me, you know, 5 years of studying and sitting down and not, you know, I did enjoy part of it, but, you know, it took me 5 years of just following this system to actually realize that it's not the degree that makes you a person of the world. It's your existence, it's your beingness. Um, but again, that was just another rule that not a rule, but like an understanding and a belief that I thought like was just, you know, I was going to be Miss Degree. What does that even mean? Like, you know, it's just ridiculous. It's so, you know, I think there's a lot, these are just, you know, a few examples of these conceptions and ideas that we take in society that we kind of just buy into and go for it and believe that this is like our identity becomes attached to this stuff. And like, it's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. Like, why is my identity attached to my home address? Like, why is my identity attached to what kind of car I'm driving? Like, what? Who decided that this car, yeah, quality wise, one car can be better than the other. But like, who decided that something more expensive makes you more valuable? I mean, it's not true, right? We know that that's not true, but it's kind of like this societal norm that if you have a nicer car, then you get to show off more. I don't know. I don't know who made this stuff up. It's absolutely batshit ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like, I mean, like even thinking about money, okay? Like, I feel like I just went into went down a rabbit hole right here, but stay with me. We'll see where I end up. Even like thinking about money, like who made up the rules of money? As a service provider, I'm just gonna tell you how I make up my prices, okay? I just think of a number. Like, honestly, like I wish I could say like I do a little bit of market value and see what it's worth, but like at the end of the day, there's nothing. Yeah, there's obviously a whole science behind the market of numbers and psychology and blah 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 blah. There is a lot of research being done around it, but that's because somebody made up a rule that we need to do research. That's because somebody else made up a rule that our brains tend to veer towards other numbers. Like, why is 9.99 cheaper than 10? You know, or 9.99 is cheaper than 9 because it looks like a better deal. These are, but somebody made the whole thing up, and then we bought into that, and then upon buying into the idea even of money, we bought into the idea that different numbers, our brains kind of caught on to this nonsense that certain numbers look better. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's all made up. It's all made up. Somebody made up the whole thing, and we all just bought into it. And now somehow, some reason, we need money to live. You don't actually need money to live. I think there are probably plenty of ways to trade goods like they did back in the day before there was money. People would trade services for goods or trade goods for time, and that was the currency back then. So it's really funny when you think about it. Like, all of a sudden, everything in life is just made up, and we have this societal norm that just like a bulk of people agreed on this rule. But I'm just here to say that like all the rules are made up. So if you don't want to live by them, you can just be like, bye, ta-ta. I like the way that sounds. You know, you can just be like, you don't want to do it, don't do it. Like, who's setting beauty standards? There's somebody sitting in Paris and deciding, I'm gonna think that this is gonna be looking beautiful today. Again, I don't mean to be like bashing any industry, but at the end of the day, like, it's all made up, built upon some more stuff that's made up, built upon some more stuff that's made up. Like, somebody who really, really bought into the fact that we need to live in a house has, built so many different types of homes. I think there are so many more types of homes than there are types of boats, because so many more people live in homes because we bought into this idea that we need to live in a home. If all of society would just decide we're going to move into the Atlantic Ocean and we're all going to be living in boats, guess what? The amount of boats that are available are going to quadruplize. I made up a word there, I think. So yeah, I wanted to bring this topic up because I found it very entertaining, and I still find it very entertaining. Excuse me, hang on a second. Sorry. And I still find it very entertaining as to like how we came to this place. Okay. From here, I'm gonna move on to what I brought up from ChatGPT. We'll see if it brings up some more food for thought. And if it doesn't, I'm going to continue on my rambles and revelations, and we will see. So here's what they gave me. Do you remember a moment when you realized you were living by certain rules, and did it ever strike you as odd that you were following them without questioning their origin? So that's the boat story. That's definitely the boat story. When I spoke to this guy and he was living in a boat, that was when it struck me that it's odd that we are living in homes. Like, I never questioned not to live in a home. I thought of living in a houseboat for like a week, but I just didn't question not having a home. Okay. Next question. We often hear phrases like, that's just the way it is, or that's how things are done. Why do you think society collectively agrees on certain rules, and how do these rules get established in the first place? That's actually a really good question. So that's just the way it is. I remember as a child asking, when we're kids, we ask our mom, like, but why? why does the world go round? But why? And then you say the world goes round because of the moon and the sun and the planets. But why? Right? And then eventually you hit that point where mom just goes, because that's the way it is, darling. Because there's just like no more whys to go. So when it comes to society and our behaviors and like all of that kind of stuff, I think one of my mentors used to tell me all the time, right? We were always raised with this idea, think out of the box, the person is in the box, the person is out of the box, think out of the box. It's better to think out of the box than to be. And then I was talking to a mentor of mine one day, and she's just like, what if there was no box? And my brain just went like, because there really is no box, friends. There's no box. There's no box. The box is all the made up rules, and the rules are not really a thing, because the second you don't acknowledge them as rules, the box disappears, right? I'm just thinking. I'm gonna go with me. I'm thinking out loud because I'm thinking of like even basic table manners, okay? Because I think there's a lot of rules when it comes to set table manners, like especially like European. And there's a place for the knife and there's a place for the fork or the 5 forks. I'm not that great at the European table manners. I know the knife, the fork, and the spoons. And the wine glass and the water glass and the napkin and the bread plate. And there's a place for all of these things. Now, table manners have become no elbows on the table, right? Chew with your mouth closed. All these table manners have become these commonly accepted rules that people have decided that this is going to be accepted. Now, they're made up. Somebody commonly accepted it, and then a whole society went and did it. And now, what if I was to just like, I don't know, put all the forks on the right side of the table, put all the spoons on the left side of the table, and then give every person 4 placemats? Okay, because that's what I want to do. I could do that if I want. But like, because there's no rules, and just thinking about that, I'm just going to be honest, thinking about giving everybody 4 placemats really just, it makes me excited. There's something about breaking that. Again, that's me buying into the box, but the fact that there is a box and I'm going out of the box, but it's just because who decided that we only get 1 placemat? Who decided that I need a coaster? A coaster is just a plate that you don't use. Like, I think placemats are more convenient than coasters. I mean, they both gather the crumbs, but it doesn't, I don't know how I got here. Excuse me. Wow, I just got distracted. Sorry. But like, it's just so, who decided that wine goes in this glass and water goes in this glass? Because somebody decided it probably tastes better, it smells better, it makes more sense. Oh my gosh, like, it's all made up. It's all made up. I don't know, like, I feel like I might be going crazy here because also, especially because I'm recording this on my own. So I'm like, there's no reaction. But like, I hope that you listening at home or in your car or on your walk are having this like reaction of like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, I can't make you have the reaction. Okay. But like, even wearing shoes, like somebody made it up. Wearing like, obviously fashion is made up, right? That we're going to be clear about, deciding that this looks good and this doesn't look good. And you know what? Like sometimes it's fashionable to wear old looking clothing. And sometimes it's extremely not fashionable. But that's just because somebody made that up, right? It's all so where was I getting at here? I was getting at the idea that I think I really love questioning my beliefs in life and questioning my understandings, and my actions and my behaviors. Because how much of what I do is just based on society? Now, I still do think, I'm going to be honest, okay? I still do think you need to kind of be a normal member of society, right? So I'm not going to go around and, I mean, I could if I want to, and I feel like it would be really liberating if I just went around wearing like with no shoes and just jumping on a pogo stick because that's my newest method of transportation. Like, I feel like that would be a really fun way to live. I don't know if I have the guts to go there just yet. Although, you know what? If I was to see somebody bouncing down the street on a pogo stick, I would want to be their friend. I'd be like, oh my God, that person is so flippin' cool. Just because when was the last time I jumped on a pogo stick? You know, like it's a fun thing. Um, wow, after this podcast, I'm definitely going to look to buy a pogo stick. Anyways, follow up with me on that one. But yeah, so basically what I'm getting at is like when we do things, there's so much that we do just by rote, just by like automatic, because this is what needs to be done. This is how it's done. You know, like getting a job, working. Cool, get a job and work, but do it because that's what you want to be doing, right? Do it because that's where you believe is going to take you to the next place in life. You get what I'm saying? And not because like you finished high school, you went to university, you maybe got into a relationship, maybe didn't, got married, you had kids, did the thing, went to school, and then just got a job because that's the next thing you're doing. I mean, and even if not, like I'm a big traveler. I'm not a huge. I like to think I'm a big traveler. I'm not as big of a traveler as I think I am, but I love to travel. And I think in the traveling, I think the reason why I love to travel is because I love seeing the different cultures and different, like in India, they eat on the floor. Like, oh my gosh, who said you need to eat at a table? And they eat with their hands. Like, who's like, and that's normal. Like, it would just be rude if you sat down at a table with a fork and a knife. Again, I've never been to India, but I think that's what I understood. Um, so like these are all just basic rules that I'm just saying, think twice before. Cool if you want to follow the rules. That's really cool. I follow some rules. I still get dressed every day. To me, that's society decided that wearing clothing is just a normal thing. And so I bought into that rule and I get dressed every day. And I'm happy I do. I'm not complaining. I like clothing. I like wearing clothing. So, that's fine. But, if there's, let's say, something that you don't want to be kind of that you kind of feel like you're stuck in a box because society decided for you and you just kind of bought into that. I don't know, like just think about it, just think about it. Obviously don't go too crazy because I have no backup defense. Like don't come yelling at me. But like, just do you, but really do you authentically and not society. Like we have so much copycats already. Like we're just so herded followers. Like sometimes I catch myself like being such a follower of society, like in general. Like I just like just because somewhere somebody decided that having a little plant on your table is a nice thing. So I have a plant on my table because then it gives me pleasure. Like cool, but think about it. Like, is it the plant or can you just make like, it's just again, that's a very basic and silly rule. And I do that because that just happens to be like it felt like it was a nice thing and it is a societal norm. Yeah, I don't know why the plant came up. I saw it and I thought about it. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next question before I go way off track and go down another rabbit hole. Is there a specific rule or societal norm that you found particularly puzzling or restrictive? How did you come to question it, and what impact did that questioning have on your life? Is there a specific rule or societal norm that you found particularly puzzling or restrictive? For me, that's fashion. I feel like I would love to understand fashion more on the one hand because I want to look good according to society. But on the other hand, I don't like deep down, I don't know that I care that much. Like I just want to look normal and put together. Like I'm not really looking to be, but I don't sometimes there are things that are in style that I'm just like, I don't get it. But why? Like why would I don't know, like just something that's really uncomfortable, And I'm like, why would that be? It just baffles me, or something really ugly as well. Like sometimes I just don't understand it. So yeah, that's definitely impacted me because sometimes I feel like on the one hand I don't always know how to dress, but on the other hand I don't care that much. But it just confuses me. I'm definitely baffled by fashion. definitely that is something that like, why are we wearing these like really high soled shoes today? And like 2 months ago, we were wearing ballet flats. But, but why should I throw out my old shoes if they're still in good shape? Like, why would I do that? Yeah, there are like different things that people do that I just don't understand, but why? So fashion is one of them when like just really interesting and strange things come into fashion. Trying to think what else. I guess with food choices, it's just the preference of like what different people like. So, there are things that I don't understand why people would go out and eat, but that's totally up to them. So that's not, I don't question that really. Um, yeah, I'm sure there are other things. Nothing's really coming to mind right now, but definitely when it happens, when I come across these things that I'm just baffled by, I definitely question how you know what? It's interesting. I remember back in the day when I was a teenager and I had a hard time kind of keeping friends. Not keeping friends, but like I guess socializing. I didn't quite get grasp the whole socializing thing. I was more of an introvert and I thought about life a lot. And I remember I was chatting with a friend and something that she always used to do was remind me of something funny that would have that happened. Okay, so let's say like we'd be going out shopping and like I don't know, something silly happened, like the cart kind of all of a sudden did a sharp turn or what silly came across funny and I bumped into something cool. Um, and we laughed, we had a good time. And then like 3 days later, she'd be like, remember that time that the car bumped into something? It was so funny. I never understood why people do that. I mean, it's funny. Today I get it and I think it's funny. But I remember when my friend would do that, she would do it a lot. And I was just like, what? Like, you don't have anything else to talk about? We have to talk about what happened? Like, life is moving forward, not backward. To me, that I don't know why. Like re-mentioning old jokes and old stories and bringing up old memories. To me, that was a very weird way of discussing things. I was like, is this how friends are? Is this what you do with friends? Is this how you become friends with someone by having these like mutual jokes and then it's funny and then you're besties? So yeah, I remember like that was just something that was a very weird concept to me. I've learned more and more that people do that. But I remember the first time it happened, I just thought it was so weird. Like I was just like, what? Why are you bringing up an old story? It was funny then, but like it's not funny now. And now I kind of get it because now it's happened a lot. Like people will do that, and I get it. But I remember the first time it happened, I was just like, but it was funny then. Like it's 5 days later. Like there's new jokes, there's new life happening. Like there's stuff I don't know. Like to me, that was like it really kind of was like, and it made me kind of question: is this how friends are? Is this what you do with friends? Yeah. Okay. Um, Okay, next. Have you ever experienced a moment where you consciously broke a rule and found it to be a transformative experience? What did that teach you about the nature of rules in our lives? I consciously break rules all the time. I would consider myself a rule breaker. I get so liberated when I do things that are just like I get scared, first of all. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't want it. Like, like it's kind of like there's a societal norm and it's just not normal for, someone, an adult, we're not going to talk about ages, but an adult to sit there and like walk along the edges of the side, like on the walk on the curb or like climb up on the wall and walk along it. It's just not commonly accepted for adults to do that. They're expected to behave. But when I do that, because I enjoy doing that, because I feel like it enhances my balance and I feel very big and proud that I'm very skilled at walking on a narrow curb. Okay. Don't judge me. You could judge me. It's fine. I found it to just be so liberating. Like to just like who gives a flying flip? Like the pogo stick. I'm gonna go get a pogo stick. I don't know that I'm really gonna get a pogo stick. Don't call me out on it. But like, it's just so freeing. So freeing. Like lately it's been raining a lot and I've been running in the rain. And every time I go out, the first few minutes I'm getting, first you get wet and it's kind of like, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like this is just absolutely amazing because once you're wet, you don't really care. Like you might as well just go for it. And you see everybody huddled in their umbrellas or in their car and scared to get out. And I'm just like sitting there with my headphones in and I'm singing at the top of my lungs. And there's just something so liberating about like not caring about the rain. I don't care. Like the rain is not going to stop me from enjoying my life. And yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot because it's been really rainy. So I have been thinking about a lot, like just who decided that rain is a bad weather? You know, like who made up that rain is bad weather? Who decided that sunny is nice weather? Who made that up? You know, tell me, get them to speak to me. Okay, you know, but it's nice when it's sunny. It is. But it's also really nice when it's raining if you're okay and you come prepared. So sunny, it's just easier to come prepared because you don't need to bring an umbrella or you don't need to bring something waterproof. But you do not want to not bring an extra jacket, an extra hat, a pair of gloves, because then it's just annoying and it's not nice that it's sunny because it's just causing you extra heat. So it's basically the same thing, okay? Almost, because it's cold when it's raining and your hands are cold. It's not super comfortable. Sorry. But you know, do you know what I mean? Like, do you follow me? So it's all, yeah. So running in the rain, I would say, is definitely one of those moments where I'm just like, nothing can stop me. You know, like no made up nonsensical rules of bad weather is going to stop me. And I've run in some pretty wild weather. And I always feel so, excuse my French, badass when I do it. So yeah, I think that's, okay. Next, do you think there are universal rules that apply to everyone, or are rules more subjective and culturally influenced? How can we navigate this diversity in rule systems? Okay, so we're going to start with the first part of the question. Are there universal rules that apply to everyone, or are they more subjective and culturally influenced? I think the rules that apply to everyone across the board: be kind, don't kill, don't hurt others intentionally. Yeah. Other than that, I think everything is quite a lot. Not everything, obviously, I didn't cover everything, but I think it's culturally influenced or environmentally or whatever. But I think the rules that apply to everyone is be kind to others, don't cause harm to others. I think those are, yeah. Okay. I think we're gonna start rounding up from here. Basically, to bring everything into a close, to a nice little summary, all I'm saying is you can live by whatever rules you want, but just take note. I recommend, I'm not telling you how to live your life, okay? But take note of the rules that you're living by. Are they rules that you are enjoying? Are they rules that are giving you enjoyment in life, that are giving you happiness, that are giving you pleasure? Continue, great. But are they rules that you're working 5 hours, 5 days a week, just so that on the weekends you can live your life? Are you enjoying that? If you are, great. If you're not enjoying that, it might be time to think. Like, I'm a big advocate for just enjoying life. Yes, maybe you got to work because that's a rule you might want to live by because you want to make money, because you want certain things. Cool. But there's so many ways to work. Okay. While I was traveling, I've discovered just like so many jobs that people do. Like even taking care of horses. Like that's just not something I would have ever thought about. There were some other jobs that I came across people that like they did that. Somebody paints boats for a living. Like I didn't know it was an option in life. I didn't even know that painting boats was a job. You know, so there's so many things out there that actually you can do that can be fun, that can be enjoyable, that can be amazing. And I'm a big advocate for enjoying life. So that's basically all I'm saying. Bringing it up to summarize is take note of the rules. You want to continue living by them, go for it, but just take note and enjoy your life. Just the main point is enjoy your life in what you're doing, in what you choose to do, and how you do it. Make sure it's enjoyable. Because if it's enjoyable, we're good. When you're enjoying, the people around you feel better because you kind of give off this lighter vibe. And when you give off that lighter vibe, it lightens up things around you. Okay. So just go for the things you enjoy. That's all. Coming to a close, thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to having you on my next episode. If you have topics or questions or comments or concerns, you can hit me up on any of my socials on WhatsApp. I'd love to hear from you. I love feedback. Be kind and be gentle with me and with yourself. and I will chat with you all next time.